What's going on, horror gang? Welcome to I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. As you know, I'm your host, Marcus. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about the piece of dialogue in a deleted scene from Scream 5 between Dewey Riley and Vince Snyder Macher. But before we get to that, let's hit that intro. I shot him 6 times. Alright guys, so as I said at the beginning of the video, I want to talk about the deleted scene footage from Scream 5, the altercation at the bar, the scene between Dewey Riley and Vince Snyder, aka Vince Macher. Scream 5 was released digitally on Tuesday, March 1st. If you haven't got your copy yet, go ahead and grab it. I'll say it again, me as a Scream fan, I thought it was a fantastic movie. It's not the perfect movie, but it was good. It was a great movie, I thought. It was a Scream movie for sure. With that being said, as you know, when these DVDs release, etc., you get all types of goodies, featurettes, deleted scenes, alternate endings, whatever may happen. So we have a couple of deleted scenes that surfaced up, and the most interesting one for me was this bar fight between Dewey Riley and Stu Macher's nephew, Vince Macher. So as Dewey proceeds to walk up as Chad and Vince are having their little spat, Dewey walks up to Vince and says, "Hey Vince, come on man, you don't want to do this, you don't want to, hurt nobody. Won't you come have a drink with me?" And Vince proceeds to sarcastically take a step back and say, "Oh yeah," and stick the knife in Dewey's face, as he had just did to Chad. So Dewey, using his police background, goes to, remove the knife out of Vince's hand and, twists his arm, and Vince, there was a struggle, and then Vince proceeds to break free and then punch Dewey in the face, further ending the fight at that point in time. The key thing is that Dewey and Vince knew each other. Even on the way out, when the bartender kicks everybody out and says, "You guys need to get out of here, I'm going to call the cops," etc. Vince, on his way out, looks down at Dewey and says, "Riley?" And Dewey, still, groggy and, feeling it from that hook, looks back up at Vince and says, "Vince," and stuff like, "Oh, Vince," like, they know who each other are. Well, why this is significant is because in the theatrical version, when we got that bar scene, obviously, Dewey wasn't in it. Dewey was introduced when Sam went to his trailer asking him for help, telling him that she's Billy Loomis's daughter, etc. In this scene, this was supposed to be Dewey's character introduction to the movie. This was originally how Dewey was supposed to come in introduced. And in all honesty, I think it might have been a little bit better to do it this way, just for the simple fact, because then you get the in-depth look of how bad Dewey had gotten, the fall from grace that Dewey had suffered. He's out at the bar almost every night, he's drunk all the time, he's not taking care of himself, etc., the whole 9 yards. So this was Dewey's original opening character scene in this movie. So why this is significant, obviously, is because in the theatrical version, we didn't get that. When Vince got killed and they were having the big meeting at the Meek's house and discussing everything and stuff like that, when Amber looks up, Vince's name on Google and reveals that he's Stu Macher's nephew, it's as if Dewey doesn't even know who he is, doesn't really there's nothing there from Dewey to suggest that he knew who Vince was prior to Vince being killed. That's significant because it's obvious and clear now that Dewey did know who Vince Macher was. He did know that the Machers, in some capacity, was still around in the Woodsboro area. And obviously, given, if you look at the scene, Vince has some of his uncle in him, obviously. He's not opposed to stick a knife in somebody's face, and he just has that look like he gets in some trouble. And Dewey, being the former sheriff and a long-standing resident in Woodsboro, it would make all the sense in the world if they've had run-ins and they know each other. Makes perfect sense. I'd rather them see them put this scene in there and let this be Dewey's introduction as opposed to what we got. Because then we get to see the fall from grace that Dewey endured, but then we also get some much needed character development on Vince. I've said it before, guys. The biggest thing for me in this movie was the lack of character development of Vince, being that he's Stu Macher's nephew. They killed him off too fast. I felt like we needed more in depth and see what kind of person this character was. And did we get a whole lot of it in this scene? No. You know what I mean? We basically got to see what we already knew, but the fact that him and Dewey know each other is so important. It's so important for the simple fact, as I stated, in the theatrical version, they made it seem like as if Dewey didn't know who he was. But in all honesty, I think there's an even more important thing here, and that's the fact that, as I said in the previous video, I questioned how didn't Dewey, being a long resident of Woodsboro and being a sheriff for so long, how did he not know that Sam was Billy's daughter? I question that, and now after watching this scene, this makes me even questionable about it even more. I mean, it's clear now that Dewey knows who Vince is. It's clear. Even if they didn't say, he didn't say, oh, Vince Macher or whatever, he knows who Vince is. Let's get that out of the way. But it doesn't explain how Dewey did not know about Sam. It doesn't explain how, being the sheriff, after all these years and being a resident for so many years, you knew nothing about this illegitimate child to the original killer, to one of the original killers. I don't know. Like, it's just, it's wild to me. I don't understand how this man, with all that, background in one place, doesn't know something that significant, but yet he knows Vince. He knows Vince Macher. He knows everybody else, but he didn't know Sam was Billy's daughter. Is it a possibility that Dewey did know and he just kept it a secret? That's not impossible at all. It's not impossible at all. Maybe he decided to keep it a secret from Gail and from Cindy, especially Cindy, because he didn't want Cindy to still feel threatened by this. I just don't understand how being the sheriff for so long and being a resident for so long, especially after watching this scene and watching the fact that he knows who Vince is. He knows who Vince is. Obviously, because I'm pretty sure, like I said before, that Vince has probably gotten into some run-ins with Dewey. He looks like a badass type. I mean, he has no problem sticking a knife in somebody's face, much like his uncle. We've established that. But like I said, guys, I just can't seem to wrap my head around how, if Dewey Riley in this deleted scene, we get the confirmation that he knows who Vince Macher is. He knew that he was around. He knows that. How did he not know that Sam Carpenter was Bailey Loomis's daughter? I'm having a hard time understanding how he did not know, or like I said, maybe he does know and he's keeping it a secret. All I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna leave it at this, guys, is I hope in the next stream we kind of get some background on that maybe somebody reveals that, hey, Dewey did know certain things, he just didn't say something, didn't say anything about it to protect you guys, etc., etc., etc. Because I do think that, especially after watching that deleted scene and that dialogue with Vince, if you know who Vince Macher is, you have to know who Sam Carpenter Lewis is. You just almost have to. It just makes no sense whatsoever. You know the nephew of one of the original killers, but you don't know the daughter of the original mastermind, and she's living in your hometown. Doesn't make sense. Hopefully in Scream 6 we'll get a little bit of more clarification on that. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think. What was your take on the bar scene between Vince and Dewey? Do you agree with my take, or do you have a whole different take on what you saw in this scene in the dialogue between these two? But like I said, I think it has been made clear that they know each other. And what I want to hear from you guys as well is, how much do you think Dewey knew about Vince? Like, how long do you think they've known each other, like, since basically Vince has been an adult, etc.? Like, hit the comment section. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your opinions, your hot takes. I want to know what you guys think about the bar scene between Dewey and Vince. And do you agree with me as well as this is even further confirmation that if Dewey knew who Vince Macher was, there should be no reason that he doesn't know who Sam Carpenter was before she approached him. Once again, hit the comment section. I want to hear from you guys. But I'm out for this one, guys. Once again, this is I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel, and I am your host, Marcus. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated, as well as hit that notification icon to get all the latest content updates when I'm uploading a video or when I eventually do a live stream. As well as, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you.